Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is Petal. Hope you've had a great weekend doing whatever it is you're doing. Um, Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. So happy that you're here. Say hi to all of my, or at least see who is in the chat. My friends in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. Our awesome moderator Lydia is here. Hello, Lydia. How are you? And Lydia is reminding us, please, yes, welcome. Definitely click the like and share the video and subscribe if you haven't. And if you haven't joined channel, please go ahead and do so. That would be awesome. Hey, Louise, how are you? And Rafaela, hello, Rafaela. And Lola, hi. Wait, did I say Black Queen somewhere in here? Where are you? Oh, here we go. Awesome moderator Black Queen is there as well. And our awesome moderator Karen M is here as well. Hello, guys. How are you? Happy to have you here. Hi, Lottie. I see you there in Fancy Fancy. Hi. Hi, guys. And all of our other friends will say hello to as we go. Hello, Auntie Jane. I see you there too. And again, we'll say hello as we go along. But welcome, guys. Our faves are, in spite of all the stuff that's going on, and we know a lot of drama on the other side of the pond, as there always are. As long as there's a British press, there's always going to be ridiculous drama. But I'm so happy that our faves they have understood the assignment, and they have kept their mouth shut and stayed silent, which is what they need to do. Just stay under your tree and be silent. So we love our faves for understanding the assignment. And we just pray and hope that they are as happy as they look in this photo. It's obviously, we know that this photo was from the Harry and Meghan docuseries. So whatever they're doing, whatever they're cooking up for their projects or whatever they are doing, we just hope they're having fun with their family, preparing for the holidays and all of that stuff. And let Shutter Island be Shutter Island and let them do their stuff and just don't pay attention to them because, again, they have nothing to write about, so they will just write nonsense as they usually do. And so whatever is going on, I mean, I haven't checked it in the last hour or so. So who knows? Since I went off Twitter, what else has been happening on Twitter? I have no idea. So if other stuff has dropped, I don't know. One of the things that's happening, I think it's today or is it tomorrow? Leslie, are you here? I don't think I saw Leslie, but I think one of Harry's many court cases from the UK is going to be dropping either today or tomorrow. They're going to be doing some kind of hearing for it, and it has to do with his security. So and I did not check exactly which one it is, but it's going to be oh, it is today. Lydia is saying it's today. Okay, thank you, Lydia. I saw it on the run, and so I didn't get a chance to really check it. And so but it is one of the court cases, but this one has to do with his security. There are many parts to this security story, so I am not particularly sure which one of the parts of this the security court case it's going to be hearing, as Lydia said, today. So if one of you guys know, please inform us. Or if Leslie is here, Leslie is our legal scholar, and Leslie could jump in and tell us who it is. So if you're here, Leslie, I'll post the link so you can call in and tell us. But I don't see Leslie in the chat, so maybe she'll join us at some point, hopefully, and then she could jump in and tell us if she knows what is the deal with that case. So that's happening. And then the other stuff that's happening is basically the royal fairy tale fantasy bubble bursting. And it's one of those things, we've talked about this here numerous times, about really the danger of the royal fantasy, because people have invested their entire life into this family, basically believing that they are God's gift to this world. They are the chosen ones. They are the ones that's supposed to rule over, especially Black people, especially, and even worse, especially poor Black folks and poor white ones too, but specifically, their history. And so they are God's gift to rule over us. And anything that messes with that, people just go crazy. And it is just the absolute nightmare watching them do everything in their power to hold up a monarchy that it's like, can't you see what's right in front of you? And yes, they can see it, but they refuse to believe, they've refused to acknowledge the facts and the truth of what is right in front of them. And it's just like, it's scary watching it, you know? It's kind of like, it's sort of like this parallel, because I've been doing a lot of royal stuff and I've been doing a lot of stuff of what's going on in Palestine. And it's so funny how they mirror each other in where the truth is literally right in front of you. It is just there. I mean, it's like, it could be like a dumbbell whacking you, and people refuse to just acknowledge the truth and would much rather hold on to the fantasy of what they've been fed. And this is the same thing that's happening with the royal family. I mean, we've known this forever. We've talked about it forever. But and there's this article that Royal Suitor posted, and I'm so happy she posted it, because, and it's by Nels Abbey. He is I think he's a journalist from the UK. I think he's also an author. Actually, I'm going to move my banner, my little logo thing there, so that way I can read this properly. But he did a really good article on this yesterday. And I'm so happy. And it talks about the monarchy is a dangerous British fairy tale. Is it ever? Because as we know, people have lost their lives or been eliminated because of this monarchy. And it says, it is impossible for an entity predicated on social superiority to be above and beyond racism. It says fairy tales matter. A national fairy tale matter even more. There are no nations. They are to nations what glue and nails are to carpentry. They hold everything together. They make things safer than they would be otherwise. Nails and glue, however, unlike fairy tales, are not predicated upon self-delusion. Their purpose is objectively rooted in reality. When the national fairy tales are challenged or proven to be untrue, it breeds grief. And we've seen, I mean, I don't even know, I can't even say what the stage of grief in the UK is now, because goodness grievances. But it goes on to say, how could what I imagine and banked on being true not be true? Denial, anger, and bargaining sets in. This may eventually give way to depression, but rarely does it breed acceptance. The balloon popping of national fairy tales usually ends with the reaffirmation of the fairy tale. The delusion must continue unabated. Perhaps our biggest fairy tale lies within the divine right, and therefore divine nature of the royal family. Despite the fact that our churches lay empty on Sunday and no religion is our second largest religion, the idea that the royal family are holy, saintly, bound by covenant with God and beyond reproach remains a key part of our national folklore. The definition, national, defining national fairy tale of the quote unquote United Kingdom. It's in the name. And, it goes on to talk about a lot of reasoning why, the Brits especially would not and will not give up on this myth, this fairy tale, and because they are God's gift to people, because they are, they are the ones that unite people. They are the standard for which people are supposed to live their lives by, and all of the other lies that they keep saying that the royal family supposedly is. And so he ends the article, he says, and for that reason, we have to love and protect this national myth. For without it, the man without a penny to his name would angrily rise up against another person without a penny to theirs in defense of a man with a 50 million pound hat on his head. Case in point, that picture over there with Charles and his $50 million hat, And I feel like this article is so descriptive of what exactly is going on in the UK. And we see it. I mean, it comes out in so many ways. And we've talked at length about people's reactions to Harry and Meghan leaving, and oh my gosh, it's going to destroy the monarchy and all of this stuff. And we've talked about the stages of grief that the royalists in the UK, including the press and their crazy trolls online and everyone else, they have like these stages of grief, and I'm glad Nels pointed out the different stages of a grief that they've gone through, where it's denial and anger and bargaining and depression and all of those things. And just when you think, okay, maybe, just maybe they'll get to acceptance, it starts all over again. It doesn't matter what it is, it starts all over again. And triggered by this time of the whole grief process, obviously this time triggered by the British press false interpretation, I should say, of Omid Scobie's book. And so we're now back at this whole stage again of the denial and the anger and the bargaining and all of this stuff. And it's just like, and again, just like Nell says, it never, ever, ever gets to a place where it's acceptance. They cannot live without this fairy tale. And it's craziness to see how, and again, when you look in terms of the press, you understand, because again, we understand that relationship, that symbiotic relationship they have with it, they depend on each other to live. And so the royal family need the press, and the press needs the royal family. And you have this thing, and anything and anyone that dares come between that, it's like, we've seen what happened to Princess Diana. We've seen what they've done to Harry and Meghan. It's just the same pattern. We talked a lot about Jersey Island, that tax shelter, the British monarchy's tax shelter there in the English Channel. And there's a lot of unsavory things happening over there. And we've talked about that here. It's the same thing. I mean, I remember us reading just an article that from there when we were talking in depth about what was going on in Jersey Island. That's one of the things they said. If you go against the royal family, you cannot live on that island. They will destroy you. They will destroy your family. They'll destroy everything about you. You have to leave. There is no way you can live there. And that is what they do. Anything that goes against, it's like it's the mafia. That's the only parallel that you can draw with when it comes to the relationship with the press and the monarchy. It's a mafia. It's like it's craziness. But it's the same kind of thing that we see, coming, looking at whether it's Spare, whether it's the Harry and Meghan docuseries, Oprah Winfrey interview, which they'll never ever get over. This is it. And now we have Endgame. It's the same thing over and over. They're never going to get to a place where they understand and accept that their pinnacle of white supremacy is fake, that none of it is real, that it is false. It does none of the things that it supposedly promised. And even as he was talking about the poor man on the street who doesn't have a nickel to their name, if you take that way or come between or come against the monarchy and in any way or they think you trying to take it down, they'll destroy each other to protect this thing, as Nell say, with a 20 million pound hat. And it's incredible to see it play out in real life. I mean, we weren't here, obviously, a lot of us, maybe we were alive, but not paying attention to the goings-on, the day-to-day goings-on with the royal family when Princess Diana was here. So we don't really know, other than she died, didn't really know the ins and outs of that stuff. But you see that whole thing play out there. You see that whole thing, when you go back, you see it play out. You see it play out with Harry and Meghan, where, we're back to stripping them of their titles. We're back to, they should, I'm even seeing tweets about they should be tried for treason. These are two people who have literally not said a word. Literally not said a word. But it's incredible to see this stuff play out in real life, and again, how dangerous this fairy tale or fantasy is with the royals. And again, when you've been raised to believe something your entire life and all of your existence is about this thing, when it, especially if you're an adult and you all of a sudden you realize that you've been taught a lie, you have two choices: either believe it and try to somehow try to pick up the pieces, or you kill the messenger, basically. And this is what they do. They go after the messenger who is exposing that stuff, whether it's to destroy the person, their career, their life, their family, whatever. I mean, Omid talks about them, in terms of this book, how they are harassing his family. He has had death threats, all of that stuff. Why? Simply exposing the truth of what the royal family is. We've seen what they've done to Meghan. We've seen what they continue to do to Meghan and Harry. Anything that comes between, their first instinct is destroy the messenger. Not look at the royal family and look at seeing what they really are. Not looking, it's like, okay, maybe what I've been taught is not the truth. And I understand that. I understand how traumatic that is. And I understand it is, and as I said, I've been sort of juxtaposing the royal situation with Palestine and Israel, because I was raised in a Christian home. I was taught the Bible from before I was born. That's how I was raised. I raised Pentecostal, like if anybody knows, but as we used to say back then, we were full gospel Pentecostal, believing that everything in the Bible, and I still do. And I was trained to think of, for example, Israel in a certain way. They were the chosen ones. They were the ones who were chosen by God. They are God's people. They are God. That's what I was raised at. So it's been very alarming in the last 5-6 months that I'm finally looking to see who these people really are. And it's been an incredibly jarring, shocking, reassessing my whole life experience. But I refuse. Now, I could have gone both ways in that and be like, no. What I was taught as a child was the truth, in spite of what's happening right in front of my very eyes. So I understand that concept of feeling completely disoriented because what you were taught your entire life and you've believed your entire life, when you look at it for what it is and you realize that a lot of what you were taught were not the truth. And it's not because of bad intent, but because people believe the fantasy, they believe the fairy tale. And the Bible is very specific about, God, when he talked about Israel, a lot of times you're like, ooh, that's your people, But I still had a fantasy of what that meant. Even as he was chastising them, according to the Bible, I still had a fantasy of what that meant. No, but they're chosen, so then they can't be all that bad. Oh, but no, they're his chosen people. So they can't have that, So I understand that. And so it's been a slap in the face and a slap in the head for me to literally sit here and like, oh my God, that's who you are. And it's been the most jarring experience. And so when I match them, when I do both of them in an episode, I'm not just doing them because, oh my gosh, but for me, it's going through my own journey and understanding what a fantasy or a fairy tale is and what reality is, and trying to somehow reconcile the two. And it's hard. So I understand that concept with royalists and all of a sudden realizing that your royals are actually racist. Oh, you mean, wait a minute, that English Rose is not exactly not the nicest person, that she's a mean girl? What do you mean? You mean she's a racist? Oh my gosh, what do you mean? You know what I mean? I understand that. What do you mean? Queen Betty was stealing from dead people? It's a lot when you grew up thinking that's your white-haired grandma, and all of a sudden you have to deal with the fact that your white-haired grandma was actually stealing from dead people. Yeah, that's a lot. And stealing from you and ripping you off. Yeah, that's a lot to deal with. So I understand that. But I think we're at a place where, we have to put on our big girl and big boy pants and panties and deal with what's right in front of us. Or there is literally no hope. They're at a point now where this is literally, and I'm glad he termed it as a dangerous British fairy tale. Because if this doesn't get away, if people don't get away from this fairy tale, they will kill. And we're going to get to a point where killing because of this fairy tale is acceptable. We are seeing it right now in Palestine, where people are being slaughtered, and the rest of the world is going on as, oh, let's me go get my Christmas tree. It's okay. Yes, I know people are dying over there. Yes, I know they're murdering babies and throwing bombs on school. Yeah, okay. This is where we're heading. And the language now that has been used in the press, Piers Morgan literally talked about on air about the royal family should bump off Harry and Meghan, and it did not make one headline. Only a few tweets online I saw talking about the fact that Piers Morgan literally said it. Actually, not even said it. He wrote it in his Sun article and cautioned them about what happened to Diana and that the royal family should do the same. And it literally made zero headline. This is where we are. And if we don't wake up and people don't wake up, we're going to start getting stuff like this happening. And then it'll be, oh, okay, on to the next one. Because it's conditioning us to accept any kind of brutality that comes up against this, any kind of quote unquote punishment to be okay. Because how dare we burst the bubble of this fantasy? You're seeing it in the real life, in the situation with Palestine, where people who support Palestine are getting doxxed, they're getting fired, they're getting, reporters getting their shows taken away, they're getting kicked out of school, Columbia University, hello. Pinnacle of free speech, kicking out their students for supporting, for literally expressing their freedom of speech, and they're getting kicked out of school. You're seeing it happening. So if we don't get careful, and if we don't understand that it's not just, oh yeah, the monarchy, we are in dangerous times. Because of this, we cannot seem to reconcile. It's like, okay, yes, this is what I was taught. This is what was told to me. This is what I was brainwashed to believe. But this is what real life is. And as painful as it is, and as horrendous as it is to deal with it, I need to deal with it and look it in the face and see what it is and call it out for what it is. And that's why I've been so vocal about what I see. And it's like, I refuse to be lied to. I refuse to believe. I don't care that I believe something my entire life. I have to put that aside and decide, you know what? That wasn't taught to me with malice. It wasn't taught to me because somebody was just trying to bamboozle me. I don't think my grandmother was trying to bamboozle me in any way. She truly believed this. What was taught to her and handed down to her for whatever reason. But now I'm seeing who they are in front of my own eyes. And I have to decide, am I going to stay in the fairy tale, or am I going to look at the truth in the face and deal with it? So it's the same thing with the monarchy. And if we're not careful, we're going exactly what we're seeing with Israel Palestine is exactly where we are with this. So I'm really happy. I was like, when I read it, I was like, yep. Check all the boxes. So at this point, when you think of the British press, who knows what stages they're in, because every day it seemed to be in a different stage and they always go backward. And as Nell say, they'll never get to a place where it is acceptance. They'll never, ever get there because, again, their whole life is this monarchy and they refuse because, again, that the whiteness that feeds who they are and what they believe, that it's like they need to be above people, they need to control people, and they will not let go of that no matter what. um it's so funny going back to just the trigger, the latest and the trigger of this whole thing, them going back to the denial and basically aggression and blaming everybody else for the royal racism row thing that's happening now. In 2021, sorry, my trying to plug in my computer before it dies, so give me 1 second. Here we go. This guy, and I had never heard of him until 2 years ago when he came out with a book. I'm like, who? I had never heard of it before. But I think his name is Christopher Henderson, his name is. So anyway, so he wrote this book, and about as you can see there, brothers and wives, and it's all about the Sussexes and stuff like that. And one of the things he wrote about at the time, and I hadn't read the book, he did a bunch of interviews, and that was the first time I had ever seen, and I'm just gonna move my banner here, but that's the first time I had ever seen or heard about him. And so he had done a bunch of these interviews talking about the royal family, and one of the things he talked about, and he's the first person that I had heard that sort of, or at least at the time, he said, well, this is what happened, because obviously this was after the Harry and Meghan docuseries. I'm sorry, the interview with Oprah. And so in his book, he wrote about what he said was leaked to him about a conversation. He's the first person that called out Charles as being the so-called, as the royal reporters like to term them, the royal racists. He is the first one and the only one who had called out Charles and said that it was leaked to him by really solid sources within the royal family that it was Charles who questioned Archie's skin color. And so whether this is true or not, I don't know, but he swears by it. He actually did another interview a couple of days ago, and he said, 2 years ago, I called this out and I stand by this. So he is standing by his reporting. At the time when he called it out, the palace said, oh, that is ridiculous. It was nonsense. And that the book went away. We never paid attention to it. And I don't think it did very well. But I remember him doing these interviews. That was when I was like, who? Never heard of a Christopher Henderson before. And he's an American guy. So I was just like, oh, who knew? Anyway, but this is what Christopher Anderson says, and I'm going to show you my thoughts on what he wrote. But this is what he says. Anderson says the remarks were innocent. Basically, Charles's remarks about Archie's skin color were innocent musings of a grandfather that were twisted over time by the palace operatives into something far more racially charged and toxic. So by the time it reached Harry, he was shocked at what he was hearing. When Harry complained to his father, Charles suggested he was being oversensitive. As the Daily Beast reported Sunday, Anderson's new book, Brothers and Wives Inside the Private Lives of William, Kate, Harry, Meghan, out on Tuesday, as that on the day of Harry and Meghan publicly announced their engagement, Charles asked his wife Camilla, I wonder what the children look like. Somewhat taken aback, Camilla apparently replied, well, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, I'm certain. Charles allegedly lowered his voice and asked, I mean, what do you think the children's complexion might be? And a little further down in the article, it says, Anderson provided the Daily Beast with a copy of the book. In it, he says that the conversation between Charles and Camilla happened over breakfast while household staff members were circulating within earshot. Camilla, Anderson said, swiftly changed the subject, but the damage was done. So it's funny, whether this story is true or not, I don't know. I mean, Anderson stands by it. So, that's his thing. He said his sources are solid. But again, 2 years ago, he is the one that says, no, this conversation happened. This is what I was told. My sources are solid, whatever. that all that stuff aside, if this were true or not, but it's very interesting to me as I read it is how they write and the things they say and the way they want us to believe things or where they want us to see things. There are so many things in this article that are sort of red flags. And it's just like, dude, you're just gaslighting. You're saying one thing and then when we think something, you're like, no. It's the innocent musings of a grandfather. And it's like, not what you wrote, not the way you wrote it, And so when we, just looking at when he was saying that Charles, asking Camilla, I wonder what the children look like. And, somewhat taken aback, Camilla, she replied, well, absolutely gorgeous. And then Charles lowered his voice and asked, well, I mean, what do you think the complexion might be? And that's one of those, if you go back at the top, he says, no, but those are the innocent musings of a grandfather. Now, you could take that to mean anything. Why you're asking something and, people are around and you're like, you lower your voice and even in that little action, even in that little thing where it's like, you said something, Camilla is a little shocked that you would even ask the question. And then when she says like, well, when she responds, you lower your voice and you're like, well, I was wondering what the complexion might be. Just in that little action, there's something inappropriate there. It is not the innocent musing of a loving grandfather. The very little action of you lowering your voice to ask, even if you're not thinking, okay, it's like it's racist or any of those things, there is something inappropriate. Even in Camilla's response, there is something inappropriate about it. And we can pretend it isn't all we want. We know. And, I've seen so many conversations about, well, it's normal in the family to ask about the complexion. I wonder what the complexion would be. I wonder what the eye color would be. I wonder what the hair color would be. I wonder what is the root of all of those things, especially we're wondering what side of the family and how dark or how light a child will be, even if it's not a concern and it's a curiosity. What is the root of all of those things? It all goes back to slavery. Because it all goes back to the shade of our skin matter. I'm from the Caribbean, okay? It matters. It doesn't matter. There's a reason why skin lightening creams are one of the top sellers in the Caribbean and Asia and in Africa, because the shade of our skin matters. In the United States, in slavery, if you're lighter skin, you're most likely to be working in the house. And then if you're darker skin, most likely you end up in the field. It matters because a lot of times we literally refuse to, go back to the source of why the shade of our skin matter. And for me, conversations like that, whether it's curiosity or concern, it starts somewhere. And so for me, when I saw, it's like, I don't care whether it's like, oh, this innocent, which again, if you look at the just a little action, it's like, I'm lowering my voice. That something is inappropriate in this conversation. And then in the end, where highlighted, where it says, Camilla quickly changed the subject. There is something they both knew it was inappropriate. They may not have recognized it as bias. They may not have recognized it unconscious, but in these little actions, they know there are red flags in the writing that they know it was inappropriate. So whether this conversation is true, it's like, just again, him going by, it's like, oh, no, these were innocent musing. These are not innocent. It is not innocent. So if you're going to write this, then leave people to make their own. Don't be telling me it's innocent when I'm looking at this and I'm like, no, it's not. It's not innocent at all. Just look at their behavior. Look at their behavior and it's not innocent. When you lower your voice in that way, because people are around, you don't want them to hear what you're saying, because why? It's inappropriate. She changed the subject quickly. Why? She knows it's inappropriate. She may not recognize it for exactly what it is. Again, if the story is true, she may not recognize why, but it's just in the writing. So it's not innocent musings of a grandfather. And then if the story is true according to what he says, Harry, the article goes on where he's talking about it goes on, staff heard about it and they turned it and twisted into all of this stuff into this racist thing where by the time it got to Harry, it was so distressing. And if you notice again, he even said Harry didn't just, go off and be angry at his dad. He goes to his father and approached him and to talk about it. And Charles is like, oh, you're just being oversensitive. Again, the problems not being, and again, if this is true, it's and if this is true, it's the same way Charles has dealt with just about everything. He does not, he doesn't want to deal with stuff. Oh, no, you're just being oversensitive. It's not a big deal. You're being oversensitive. And if they had nipped this in the bud from back then, we wouldn't have this issue. If they had, when Harry and Meghan talked about it, then we would never know about it. If they had dealt with it when Harry and Meghan talked to Oprah, instead of the recollections may vary, this would have ended there. But again, it's the same pattern of Charles not dealing with stuff ever and pushing off and never wanting to confront anything. That's why we are in this place where we are. Again, and again, for even a broader issue, it's the same reason why the British royal family and the government have never apologized. So every single year we have people, you need to pay reparations, you need to pay reparations, you need to apologize, you need to. Why? They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the racism that's there. It's the big elephant in the room, and they refuse to deal with it. Why? Because then they will have to acknowledge the truth. They are in the depths of who they are, racist, and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with it. They will not apologize because then they're going to have to face the fact of who they are. British press don't want them to deal with it. Why? Because then the British press is going to have to look at itself and realize the core of who we are is racist. We are colonizing people. This is who they are. And so it's something as seemingly innocent as this, when you look at it for what it is for the least, if you look at it and you give them the least amount of anything, it's kind of like, something is wrong here. You may not recognize it as for what it is, but something is wrong just by looking at their actions. So no, it is not the innocent musings of a grandfather, Christopher Anderson. They know something is wrong. And so people, I feel like this is the thing that we keep missing. It's like, oh, no, but it just, I was just wondering about it. Why are you sitting here wondering about a baby color? A baby could be what color when they're born and then completely get darker or lighter when they got, I was like, and again, the insensitivity of that whole thing, knowing what, knowing just how charged something is in the terms of race, you're someone coming into your family, knowing your history, knowing Meghan, as a biracial person coming into, that's the last thing. You want to be overly sensitive, but I feel like they are so used to being this way, they just can't help themselves. And then when people call them out, then you have the others believing in their fairy tale, attacking them and calling them all kind of name and trying to destroy them because none of them want to deal with the fact that the core of who we are is racist. And to think that the royal family, who has benefited the most from racism and colonizing people and all of that stuff, is not going to be, is a little ridiculous. So anyway, moving on from Christopher Anderson. Again, I don't know if this is true. He said it's true. He stand by it. But again, just in the writing, it tells you something is very wrong. That is not just innocent musings. And then how Charles dealt with it again with Harry. Again, it's the same pattern of not dealing with it. And now we're where we are now, where they're now threatening and threatening Omid because he dares to reveal something that they all knew. This is not new for any of these people. They know what they are. They refuse to look at it. and how if anyone dare to bring it up and put the mirror in front of them, they rather kill the person than face the fact of who they are. Case in point, our little liar, Camilla Tominey, has, I don't know, and again, I am not a person who just, would talk about these things. I think they are very serious. But over the last few days, I've had to wonder if Camilla Tominey may have fallen off the wagon or something. Because I was like, girl, what's with this nonsense? She has gone full on back to where she was. I mean, I hadn't paid attention to Kamala. I keep calling it, what is Camilla Tominey? I was like, Kamala. I'm thinking of Kamala Harris all the time. And so now it's like Kamala or Camilla. Anyway, Camilla. The last time I really paid attention to Camilla is, I think it was over the holiday last year when the BBC were, and I think King's College, I think it was, and then the BBC were calling her out for lying on them on live on Twitter. And they were all calling out because she lied on the college and then she lied on BBC staff, and they were all calling her out on it. And so that was the last time I really paid attention to what Camilla has been doing. So Camilla, over the, there's the whole thing with Kate and her racist stuff happening on Twitter based on obviously we know what happened with Omid's book. And if you don't know, it's Piers Morgan, well, a version of Omid's book, Endgame, came out in Netherlands, and it leaked the two royal racists, as the British press call them, Charles and Kate. And so we know that Camilla is one of Kate's pieces, along with Rebecca English and Roy Anika. And so Camilla went back to, back in the day, back in 2019, when Camilla was writing articles about Meghan making Kate cry, and about the mosque that Meghan, the Almanar center that Meghan was using with the ladies at Grenfell, that it was part of a terrorist organization, or some terrorists used to go there, or some craziness like that. She's the one that was basically called Meghan racist for not putting enough white people on the British Vogue. I mean, this woman is like, she's a nutcase. And so, again, I hadn't paid much attention to Camilla lately. And so over the weekend, Camilla just went right back to that. And so she wrote these crazy articles. I'm like, girl. And apparently these articles were supposed to be about puffing Kate up, and, supposed to be like, because it's from the, when you read Endgame, it's basically about Kate not accepting Meghan, the little parts Meghan was in. Again, the book is not really about Meghan, but some things refer to her because, again, those were the issues at the time. And so it was basically about Kate really not being welcoming to Meghan. So what does Camilla do? She flips it, as she normally does. Kate made Meghan cry, so Camilla flips it into Meghan made Kate cry. Now, this is what she has done. Why Meghan never really had taken to Kate. Meanwhile, the whole conversation is about Kate and it's always been about Kate not accepting Meghan. So Camilla's like, no. Kate is the English rose. It's Meghan. It's all Meghan's fault. And so she was writing these articles, and part of one of the articles she wrote, it was like, why Meghan never really taken to Kate. The Princess of Wales has been named by the BBC in a racism row, deepening the rift with the royals. And so this whole article, again, it's about all the ways that Meghan is the bad person for not accepting Kate, and how Meghan was this bad person not accepting Kate's supremacy over her, and wanting to basically show up Kate because she feels like Kate should not be the one to speak at this. If you guys remember, this was the only event they got to when Meghan talks about women having a voice. And so Camilla's writing about this. She says, although some believe the royal sisterhood broke down following a tearful row over a bridesmaid's dress, which she lyingly wrote about, for the Princess Charlotte in the run-up to Harry and Meghan's wedding in May 2018, the Royal Foundation Forum proved to be a significant pinch point. At the time, the beast in the east was sweeping through the UK, leading to freezing temperatures, heavy snow and winds. Royal aides were therefore surprised to find Meghan had a dress had dressed in a summer dress for the summit. Kate, who was 7 months pregnant with Prince Louis at the time, opted for something rather more conservative. And it's very funny with this whole the whole narrative about that, because Harry talked about it in his book about, Meghan forgetting her lip gloss and asking Kate for some of her lip balm or lip whatever, and Kate basically was just freaked out by it, or she was very like ew about it. Meghan took a little bit on her finger and put it on her lip, because Meghan has girlfriends and that's what they do. And so Harry talked a bit, but this go into how Meghan was just she was not happy basically, because Kate and William are the leaders, and she just felt like she should not have to be in the back of them. And so they, because of the heavy temperatures, Kate come in and she's more conservative, which is very good, as opposed to Meghan, who, coming in the summer dress. How dare Meghan? And this is high school stuff, but it's very interesting throughout the whole article how she's juxtaposing them, because Kate more rather conservative, more princess-like, into other than Meghan. And then you look at I'm like, Camilla, there are photos and videos of this event, right? This is what they were wearing. Now, if you look at this stuff, like who is more dressed more conservatively? The only difference with it is that Kate has her legs, her legs bare, and Meghan has her arms bare. Look at the two. If you were going to say who is more conservative or the good girl, who would be more conservative? And so, it's very funny, even with that, she's talking about they were so shocked that she would come in a summer dress, basically her arms bare and all of that stuff. And I don't know what it is about the UK and people's arms bare. I don't understand what that is. And, they were shocked because of the freezing temperature. And it's so funny. Meghan talked about that in one of her engagements, how everyone is so like, they were like, oh my gosh, it's freezing here. And she is in a little, very, I don't want to say flimsy, but a very light jacket or very like that, because everybody in the UK is freezing. And it's like, Camilla, have you been to Canada in the winter? Compared to Camilla in the Canada in the winter and the UK in the winter are two very different things. Meghan spent 7 years in Canada. UK cold is not, it's not kind of Canadian cold. So I am sure Meghan is like, oh, well, this is like spring weather for me. Because if you've been to Canada, how cold it is there. It's a little bit ridiculous. But the whole article is her comparing Kate's whiteness and her conservative into Kate's. And we're going to get into even more of her comparisons. But one of the things she also goes into talk about is, again, this is all about how Kate, how she sort of goes from Kate, the good girl, and how when she matches her up against Meghan, how she is the proper princess. And then on the flip side, how Kate just basically casts Meghan aside, or just put her in her place, as she's not important as Kate. And one of the things Meghan is not important as Kate is to add insult to injury. Harry reveals in Spare when he first introduced Meghan to his brother, Kate remained in the garden playing with the children. Hardly a welcome they both wanted. From that moment, from that point onwards, Meghan always pointedly insisted on calling the Princess of Wales Kate, even though the rest of the family referred to her as Catherine. So it's okay that Kate, basically rebuffs Meghan. It's okay for her to, instead of being a good hostess or being a good, sister-in-law in the future or in the making, whatever, instead of being that, or just being gracious, or just being a nice person, instead of doing that and coming in and being introduced to Harry's girlfriend, instead she just sort of brushes it off and stay in the garden playing with her kids. And that's supposed to be, and so that's supposed to be okay for her to do. And so she's like, well, because of that, Meghan, assuming that they just assume Meghan is just evil as they are, or just really vindictive as they are, her thing is like, it's because of that Meghan refused to call her Catherine, which is so funny. In Omar's book, he even talks about that she doesn't mind either way, because she doesn't mind being called Kate. Actually, she likes it either way. And so Camilla is basically, going after Meghan for calling her Kate, and completely brushing aside the fact that Kate is just like, if somebody comes to your house, you know that they're coming to be introduced to you. You at least be there to say hello. She's just brushed that aside. It's okay for her to just, completely just ignore Meghan. And then she talks a little bit more about what went on there. Says around the same time as the forum, Meghan's mother Doria Raglan flew to London for her daughter's baptism and other wedding preparations. But curiously, she was never introduced to William and Kate, despite the princess and the prince and princess repeatedly asking to meet her. It was all very bizarre, said one source. Meghan seemed to want to put a separation between them. In truth, there had been a degree of friction almost as soon as Meghan officially arrived on the royal scene in 2016 to a lukewarm reception from former William and Kate, who, as well as finding her a little full on, had no idea she would be a keeper, having met a succession of Prince Harry's girlfriend. So let's attack Meghan for not introducing her to two people who basically, one just sort of brushed her off and didn't want to even be introduced to her. And not only that, their reception of her was lukewarm. Let's just put that aside, but then attack Meghan for not introducing her mother to her. I know it was all very bizarre that she refused to introduce her mother to William and Kate, in spite of the way how William and Kate treat her. But it's okay, William and Kate, to treat her, in a lukewarm way and brush her off. But how dare she not introduce her mother to them? How dare Meghan? And it's just like, is this like high school? And again, this is supposed to give us the impression that, oh, no, Kate is really a nice person. She is not racist. She's not prejudiced in any way. It was Meghan. It was Meghan's fault. How dare Meghan not introduce her mother to someone who brushed her off and really just had, very lukewarm to her in the beginning? How dare Meghan not do that? It's like, and if that were enough, she then go on to decide, if that article wasn't enough, there was so much more in the article about her comparing. She just decided to, okay, I'm just going to go flat out racist, and I'm going to just go xenophobic. In talking about, in Chloe's book, he talks about Kate just how she's just not good at public speaking, and she, the fact that she just he even goes on to this. I guess someone was thinking of writing a book about her, and they're like, well, I wouldn't have anything to put in a chapter. So it was just like, there's not any information about her. There's nothing going on with her that you would put in a book. He's like, I wouldn't even have enough. And so, so Camilla's having a take on that. She's like, conversely, it's precisely because Kate is not a brash blabbermouth that she remains so endearingly popular. Like the late queen, she's a reluctant royal. She's an introvert. She's a conflict avoider. She keeps calm and carries on. She's very English, which perhaps goes a long way in explaining why she didn't get on with the uninhibited, overconfident American. And it's just like, wow, this is supposed to make Kate and convince the world that Kate is not your royal racist, that she's not the person that really assisted in kicking Meghan out of the royal family. And, she's not part of the institution that caused Meghan such mental distress that she wanted to out herself. We're supposed to believe, these are all the articles that she's writing, that she's supposed to believe that Kate is this wonderful princess, this wonderful, as she says, very English, as in very white, this, this brash blabbermouth. as, loudmouth black woman, uninhibited, overconfident American, pushy American, xenophobic. I mean, I'm like, wow. And these are the kinds of things, again, Meghan has said not a word. This whole thing has come out. Meghan has not said a word. Yet these people have been going on and on and on with these articles. I mean, about someone who, as Meghan is a brash blabbermouth. What in Meghan's character is a brash blabbermouth? She's very English. She's white. It's an uninhibited, overconfident American. For a person who speaks the truth, who is able to speak for herself, who stands up for herself and not allow herself to be bullied, a person who speaks up for others. And into Camilla, she's this uninhibited, overconfident American. And we're supposed to believe that these are the people that welcomed Meghan, that loved her, that protected her. I mean, and again, these, as in Christopher Anderson article, the way they write this, and they would write these things, and then in the end, try to tell you how to think about them and how to try to tell you how to think about Kate. And you're like, but you remember when you said that instead of meeting Meghan, she decided to brush Meghan off and just stay in the garden and just completely ignore Meghan? You remember how and even in Robert Lacey's book, it even talks about Kate didn't trust Meghan on sight, basically. They knew that Meghan would be trouble. They didn't trust her. Remember how you just said that? That the lukewarm reception? That's the person that you're trying to convince us that Meghan should have introduced her mother to? You mean part of the article, it talks about, that Meghan, she had all these, she suspected the Middletons of being grifters. Well, she would have been right if that is true, and how instead of putting her mother up in a hotel, she stuffed her mother in that little shack, which is completely false, because even in Harry's book, he talked about Doria at a hotel and how they missed the photographers when they got their first shot of them on the street. They, for some reason, missed Doria because they had just gotten Doria to her hotel. So it's just like when you write all of these things, and then after that, you try to, when we think exactly what you're thinking, for example, we know what you mean when you say black, brash blabbermouth, and that Kate is very English as opposed to black Meghan, or she's an uninhibited, overconfident American, that yes, you're being xenophobic. So when they call them out on these things, then it's like, no. That's not what I mean. I'm not being racist. I'm not being... No. Kate is just, she's just sweet, and she's a conflict avoider, and she's just calm, and she carries on. But I'm like, but you remember when you write all those other things? Those are red flags to tell us who these people really are. And it's just the same pattern that they do all the time. And, you think about Camilla Tominey. One of the things she says, she wrote in the print edition, she's talking about Omid Scobie's book. She said, the Sussex biographer at the center of the controversy over naming of the racist royals often get his facts wrong. We only have to go to Spare. Days later, the coup d'etat, Harry talking about Camilla writing about Kate that Meghan made Kate cry thing. Days later came the coup d'etat for a royal correspondent, a sci-fi fantasy describing the growing furore, good Lord, between Kate and Meg, claiming that according to two sources, Meg had reduced Kate to tears about bridesmaids' dresses. This particular royal correspondent had always made me ill. She always got stuff wrong. But this felt more than wrong. And he goes on to talk about, what she did. He's like, I read the story in disbelief. Meg didn't. She was still reading. She still wasn't reading anything. I mean, this was about Camilla. And again, she is sitting here talking about Omid got stuff wrong. And here's Harry and Spare calling her out because she always got stuff wrong. Which, I mean, you don't have to convince us. I mean, her hashtag on Twitter is trending just about every day. Camilla Tominey is a liar. Because why? She always tell lies. She always lies. And so she has all of these different stories in her articles. And obviously I had to read the article so I could, know what the deal is with, what she's on about. But it's one of those things, again, it's the same with Christopher Anderson's article. It's like they would put all these red flags in, and then when you call them and the royal family out, then they basically gaslight you. It's like, no, that's not who they are. You're wrong. You're being racist. You're attacking the royal family. And it's just like, no. And so there's that part of it. And then there's the other part of it. Okay, we have to punish them. There's this whole narrative of, okay, we have to punish Harry. And again, Harry and Meghan have said nothing about any of this stuff. They have remained silent. And as we were looking at the other day, all of a sudden it's like, no, Harry and Meghan need to speak up speak up and defend the royal family against these racist attacks, against these, accusation of racism and all of that stuff. And if that doesn't work, well, let's punish them. I can reveal two of Archie's grandfathers. Hang on. Oh, wait a minute. I did the wrong one. Sorry. I picked the wrong one. Sorry about that. Wrong clip. But basically what this is what Roy and Nika had this exclusive couple. I can't believe I was looking at like two of them and I clicked the wrong one. But anyways, what this is Roy and Nika had this. I actually think I got it in the next one. You can probably see it a little bit in the next clip. Okay, on the right hand side, it's this. Oh, probably not. Okay, a little bit on the right-hand side where it says the New York Times, the Sunday Times on the right. Her whole exclusive, supposedly, is Harry's friend, this guy over here. I had no idea there was a Duke of Westminster, but that's apparently what he is. The Duke of Westminster, apparently one of the richest people in the UK, owning more land even than the royal family, apparently. And he's supposedly Harry and William's best friend, or one of their best friends, or something or the other. And he apparently is getting married in the summer. And so they apparently somehow, I guess, look at or at least got the guest list. I mean, I would only assume that leak came from the royal family somewhere. And apparently he invited the royals, but didn't invite Harry. And so Roy and Nika supposedly have this exclusive that he is basically rejected Harry and he's excluded, and he's snubbed, and pick a word and put it in there, that that this best friend of William and Harry's has now picked William and the rest of the royal family and basically kicked Harry to the curb. So now we have to punish him because he refused to stand up and speak up for the royal family. He refused to defend them, even though they are the victims. As the victims of the royal family racist behavior, they're supposed to stand up and defend the royal family. Yeah. Anyways, so now we have to punish them. So Roy and Nika writes this article, and it's part of it is thought that William is in the running to be the best man of Grosvenor, a godfather of Prince George X, who is also expected to attend. Harry and Meghan's exclusion will be a particular blow to the couple because Grosvenor is so close to Harry that it can be revealed he's also a godfather to the Sussex's son, Prince Archie. Remember, the Sussexes have never revealed who Archie's godparents are. He is thought to be the only friend with William and Harry chosen as godparents to both. It is understood that he wanted the Sussexes to attend his wedding and originally planned to invite them, but has decided against it, conscious of the drama surrounding the couple's risk of overshadowing the day and causing tension for Charles, Camilla, William, and Kate. A spokesman for governor said, we are not in a position to comment on the guest list. So this whole thing again, I mean, we've talked about this for ages, where when they write, it is thought, it is understood, all of those things is, we don't have any facts, but we're just making it up until maybe somebody was telling us something, but we don't know if any of this is true. But we may have heard a gossip and we're just going to write it as fact, even though we have no evidence. And so the bottom, when, people stop reading, if you read further at the end, it'll tell you that a spokesman for them said they're not in a position to confirm or comment on a guest list. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like, if we can't make them shut up, if we can't make them do what we want, if we can't make them sit there and defend the royal family, we can't make them talk if I attacking Meghan or whatever. Okay, so then let's go for excluding them from things. Let's go for punishing them for daring to speak out about the royal family. Let's do the punishment route and see if that would get them to do what we want them to do. And again, this whole article is nonsense because, again, it is thought, it is understood. Again, she has no idea. But a very interesting thing with all of this, and again, with Kate being at the center along with King Charles at this, being the royal racist as they claim, Roya Nika wants us to know that she is also invited to the Princess of Wales concert. Oh yes, absolutely, the carol service. She wants us to know that, again, as their mouthpiece, obviously. So that's her little invitation there on the ride. But it's just very interesting. And again, with the Sussexes being silent, and thank you, Harry and Meghan, for staying silent, there is slim pickings for the news, especially with Sussexes. So what does it happen? What happens? Roya Nika puts out her exclusive. If you look at the bottom, Ugly Hutchins Brown, the Mail, decides, oh, we're going to steal your exclusive. We're going to steal your exclusive and we're going to make it an exclusive at the Mail on Sunday. To which Roya Nika is like, well, except this is the Sunday Times exclusive, acknowledged as such everywhere else. I mean, slim pickings when it comes to royal stuff. So now they're fighting over exclusives. It is absolutely, absolutely ridiculous. But again, I am so happy that the Sussexes are just staying silent and let them just feed on themselves. It's crazy. It is just absolutely ridiculous. But it's kind of like, yeah, if you don't do what we say, we're going to try every avenue to make you do what we say. So we're going to punish you or whatever it is. And it's just crazy. And it's so funny to see Gabriel Pagron. He's the one that basically reported on all of those King Charles cash for access, cash for honors deal. He's, and I guess Roya, after being called out on so many occasions as the liar that she is, that's why I named her Liar Nika. She's been called out so many times, is to see Gabriel up there and he's like, Roya Nika is the best in the business week in, week out. And it's like, dude, really? And again, he works for Rupert Murdoch outlet, so I guess. But when you look at the reporting for the cash for access stuff, he did a great job. I had to give him that, even though he's a Rupert Murdoch tabloid. But to see somebody like that, lauding Roya Nika, who has been literally lying, and they've had to pull articles, and how many times is she gonna lie? And to see him as like, she's the best in the business. I'm like, you are all the same. You are all the same. And again, it's like nobody within the British press, for some reason, have the guts to just call each other out and like, no, that's a lie. You can't be writing lies like that. You just wrote an article and all of it is like, it is understood, it is thought, it is believed. You have no facts. There are no facts. There's no evidence. You even talk to the people and they say they can't comment on it. And on top of that, you're reporting about Harry's baby Archie, or big boy Archie now, godparents. The Sussexes have never said who the parents are. So the only way you can get that information would be from the palace. And remember, the palace said that they don't leak information. Yeah. So now, if that is true, if that reporting is true, the only place you will get that from is a leak from the palace, because that's who would have that information. So again, this whole idea of, oh, the palace doesn't, basically what you just did is out them as liars. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm just going to jump in the chat for a minute. I know I've been talking and talking a lot. So let's actually, you know what? Let's just finish this part out and then we'll jump to something else. But anyway, again, another thing that they've been doing is what Nels talked about earlier. Amanda Platel is one of those ones that always attacks the Sussexes. If they don't get you by, you know, smearing your name, bargaining with you to basically defend the royals, they're going to just decide, like, you know what? I'm just going to hate. I'm going to, you know, even though my royals are racist, I'm just going to love her anyway. You know, Amanda Patel, the more Meghan, she was attacking Meghan, the more Meghan and her risible mouthpiece smear Kate, the more we love her. I remember he was talking about that royal fairy tale will not die because people will just double down on it. It's exactly this. The more you say, tell us the truth, we're just going to love her anyway. We're not going to deal with the fact of what she is. We're just going to love her anyway. Or they'll go back to the boring part. Bob Selly, who's an MP, and he is now deciding that, oh, we are going to go and we are going to strip them of their titles. They're not going to do what we want them to do. We're going to strip them of their titles. Who really believes Harry and Meghan aren't behind Scobie's race claims? We need to strip the Sussexes of their titles. And this is an MP from, I think, the Isle of Wight, I think he is on. Yeah, so now he is putting out something in the parliament to strip them of their titles. And if that doesn't work, well, we even have comics. They are going to do it. You know, we are going to attack those in their orbit, or at least who we think is in their orbit. We're going to embarrass them. AI will never replace authors like Kobe. There are some things that Chat GPT refuses to do, attacking Scobie and his credibility. We're going to embarrass them. I mean, it's the same. It's crazy that they would do anything to destroy anyone who comes anywhere to revealing that their fantasy is not true. Again, look at all of these. It's like they all got the briefing to pressure the Sussexes that they are going to have to speak up for the racist royals. Again, nowhere in any of the coverage, not one person in any of this coverage has said the royal family, Kate and Charles need to apologize. They need to own this. They need to speak about it. They need to talk it out, and they need to apologize. No one in their press, no one in their, there was actually this one lady, I think she was a lawyer, and I think today's when I saw the clip, she was the only one as a Black lady, and she talked about in court cases and whatever, how many of those cases are resolved by one person just saying, I'm sorry. She didn't call on them to say sorry, but she just mentioned that at the end of what she was saying, how a lot of those court cases, someone saying sorry, and that resolves whatever the issue is. Not one of these outlets, including and reporters writing in them, including Black reporters, who, especially Trevor Phillips, who is just like, dude, none of them are calling for the royal family to deal with their racist issues. None of them are calling for them to own it. None of them are calling to apologize. But what they're calling for, Harry and Meghan remain silent as the racist royal name, in Scobie's book. Prince Harry and Meghan urged to back the king amidst racism. Prince Harry and Meghan urged to break their deafening silence after the royal racism charges. Harry and Meghan urged to end the deafening silence on racism. Harry and Meghan Markle urged to end the it just on and on and on. That Harry and Meghan are the one that needs to defend the people who were racist towards them and their kid. Look at all of this. It's all about Harry and Meghan urged to go and defend the royal. These people do not want to deal with racism. It doesn't matter where it is, especially in the UK. They do not want to deal with it. They do not want to change it. And I think that's just something that we have to understand. They don't want to change. No matter what they say, they don't want to change. They simply want to be racist in peace. And they are basically looking for Black people, especially, who would gatekeep for them and tell them it's okay. It's not racism. It's okay. It's okay that if you're a white person and somebody's coming in, somebody Black or brown coming into your family, it's okay for you to be concerned about the color of their child's skin. It's okay. It's okay that you treat the Black one different. It's okay. It's okay that you claim that, they need to earn their titles. It's okay to change the George VI Convention when everybody else gets their prince and princess title. It's okay that Archie don't have a title because he's, he has Black blood. But it's okay. You're not racist. They need us Black people to do that. And we have many, like the Trevor, whatever his name is. All of a sudden I forget his last name. But they have all of these people to go on TV or write an article to say it's okay. They need the nanas of the world from GB News to say it's okay to treat us that way. You're not racist, really. You're not. It is yes. You were concerned about the child color, but if you get called out, the person that is the victim of your racism, they're the ones that need to come and defend you and tell the world that you're not racist. They are the ones. It's on them. Your victims to come and defend you and defend your honor. Yeah, it's really okay. And we see that over and over and over and over again. They do not want to change. They won't change. How many times are we going to hear the royal family need to apologize? They need to pay reparations. They need how many more years are we going to be hearing this? They don't want to change. And that's why I'm happy that Harry and Meghan have stayed silent, that they're not participating, and let them deal with it. So hopefully that holds. But some of y'all Black folks in the UK, it is disgusting having to watch the. I am like, anyways, let me leave this alone and jump into chats, which y'all are saying in the chat. I will come back to other things in a bit. Anyways, what y'all are saying? EB Lynn 35. Oh, I've never seen you here before. Welcome. Says the royal family has never denied anything in the documentary, the book Spare, Oprah Winfrey interview. They only show because they told family secrets. Make that make sense. Yeah. They can't deny anything. I mean, Harry and Meghan didn't hide it. They knew very well they could come out and deny it. And they haven't. They have not denied anything in the book. They have not denied anything that Harry and Meghan said. But if you notice, the people who have been going crazy have been the press and royalists. Why? Because, the press, because they make money off of the royal family. And they're royalists because their whole lives are wrapped up in the royal family. They're wrapped up in the royal family, the fantasy. The royal family don't care. They literally don't care. And they know that they have enough people in the UK to back them up or to prop them up, so they don't care. That's why they'll never apologize. They'll never say, I'm sorry. Former colonies could beg for the rest of their lives. They're not going to apologize. They don't care. Because they feel it's their right to be who they are. Let's see. Joyce. Hello, Joyce. Joyce says, why does William back his father? Why does Harry have to back his father? Where was Charles when Harry and Meghan needed him? Exactly. It's always Harry needs to come and support. But when, you're right. When has Charles supported Harry? When has he supported Meghan? Never. Ever. If you remember with the whole cash for access, cash for honest thing, Charles literally tried to throw Harry under a bus, and Harry had to come out and be like, oh, no, you don't. And then when Harry came out and said, no, I told you who this Mr. Mahfouz was, and you still went ahead and did it. I had nothing to do with this. What happened? The press started attacking Harry for not allowing himself to, allowing himself to be thrown under the bus by Charles. This is what it is. It is, I mean, it is sick. Church Nelly, how are you? Church Nelly says, whoa, white supremacists really hate being called racist. I'm telling you, they hate it. And it's just like, there is a simple way to not be called racist. Don't be racist. Don't be white supremacist. That's all you got to do. But as long as the squad is here, just understand if you're going to be being racist, then you can be called it. And you can say whatever you want to say. You can scream whatever you want to scream. You're going to be called out for it. And so they have I know I saw one of, I guess she was a Daily Mail reporter or whatever, saying that no matter what people say, that nobody is going to believe any negative thing about Kate because of Kate's goodness. So nothing people say about her will stick. Yeah. No, it's not because of Kate's goodness. It's because of Kate's whiteness. She's the white rose. That's why it's not sticking. That's what it is. Cookies and Cream says the Royals created a situation with their racist, jealous, arrogant, hypocritical, nefarious behavior, and every other adjectives you can put in there. They're stupidly attacking Meghan. They're only digging a deeper hole for themselves. I'm telling you, and the people around them do not have the common sense God gave a goat to understand this. Apologies to the goat, by the way. They don't have the common sense to understand this because they're in a bubble. And that's what they have coming back to them. They're in, there's the sound of their bubbles coming back to them, and they don't see outside of their bubble. So that when they go out in the world, i.e. go to Jamaica and make a complete mess of themselves, they're shocked because all of a sudden their bubble cannot protect them. And I, go back and forth between the royals and what's going on in Palestine. It's the same pattern. You see the same pattern with Israel. Israel has been in a bubble where everybody around them has been telling them what they wanted to hear. They are the victims. They are the perpetual victims. So they can do anything. And everybody's like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're a victim. So, okay, yes, you can do this. You can attack this person. And then all of a sudden they're in this one. They cannot understand why when people are pushing back and calling them liars, it's like they freak out. How can you call? And it's like, because you're a liar. And they cannot deal with it. And you see them screaming in interviews and whatever because they've never been in a situation outside of that bubble where someone will look them in the face and say, no, what you've just said is a lie and you have to deal with your lie. And this is the situation with the royals. Before the squaddies especially came in, they were all in this bubble. Nobody really challenged them. Nobody really, And then all of a sudden, the squad is just like, no, you don't. And they're all freaked out. And they still have not, it's been how many years now? And they still haven't gotten to the place where it's like, no, you're actually digging yourself out. You're putting yourself in a position where you're going to be abolished if you're in a very short while. Because less and less people are believing anything you say or do. You're basically acting in a way that will just lead to your irrelevance a lot quicker. Hey, I'm here all for that, but Veronica Jade says, of course, these racists are more upset about being called racist than about people being racist, which is very true. Very true. All the outrage or fake outrage, which it is fake outrage because they all knew that Kate and Charles were the two that Harry and Meghan were talking. They all knew that. So this fake outrage, about who, the revelation of the names, that's what it's about. Not about the two people actually being racist. No, again, nobody has called for them to change. Nobody has called for them to, what, again, that diversity is all that they were talking about. Nobody has called and called them out on it. Again, this is a government entity. Where's the oversight? Where are the people who, the government officials or whoever, to be demanding that they handle this, that they deal with this, and not push it under the rug, like and put out some ridiculous statement as, "Oh, recollections may vary." None. And again, that's why these people are able to get away with all these years of pocketing dead people's money. No oversight, nothing. Because, these people are God's gift to the world. They are ordained by God. Therefore, they can police themselves. And nobody does a thing. Let's see. Black Queen says, she's talking to Rosa M. They are accustomed to mediocrity. Excellence, especially in a Black woman's blood, is frightening and terrifying. Kryptonite abound. Shame indeed. Because again, Meghan being excellent is a danger to Kate, because then it shows up Kate. We saw that play out in real life. Even, Camilla Tominey referred to that incident in the, it's not a, when you look at it, when the whole narrative around that whole day was about how amazing what Meghan talked about, especially speaking about and advocating for women and women's voices, which it was all about. And then we see Camilla Tominey just completely flip that in. If you didn't know what the event was about or what they were talking about, and you just read Camilla Tominey's crazy article where it became all about, Meghan felt like she's because that she's the philanthropist, or she's the one that should be speaking, that she felt like Kate had no right to speak. All of these crazy stuff that they have turned into, that she turned something that was, again, about women empowerment into this crazy narrative where somehow Meghan didn't know her place and Kate is supreme, and Meghan should Meghan couldn't handle the fact that Kate is supreme and Kate is the one that's going to rule over her, basically. It is amazing. And I'm like, no wonder Kate is the way she is. No wonder Kate is like, and that's not going to change. And no wonder she hates Meghan. I don't know if she hates Meghan, but she definitely, as is, seems to not care or want to have anything to do with Meghan, because Meghan shows her up. And again, you don't want to show them up, because again, that will reveal that they are putting their faith into somebody who is, well, in my book, needs to improve to get to mediocre. So, let's see. Lola Love, hello Lola. Lola says, I'm paraphrasing from X. Someone said the very definition and design of the monarchy is to create inequalities. Classism, elitism, racism goes along with being chosen as special people above others. Yes, this is so true. And again, that chosen people with the royal family that everyone would try to destroy you if you go after. Again, juxtaposing that chosen people with Israel. They are according to the Bible, the chosen ones. And that's where you get these crazy stuff happening with these so-called chosen people that feel that it is okay to be racist. It's okay to do all these things, and don't you dare call us out on it. Don't you dare think that we are wrong, because we are chosen. And we are chosen to rule over you. And so, yes, this is totally, totally true. Totally agree with that. Thank you, Lola Love, for posting that there. Let's see. Black Queen says, "Little love, that's great to know that the threats are being monitored. I have specifically talking about the legacy media and entertainment media. No one stands up for Meghan or highlight her good works." Not sure all of what you are saying, of what you're referring, but yeah, very true. Other than the squatties, they would rather, I mean, if there's something negative about Meghan, oh yeah, they'll jump on it. I mean, meaning the British press. They don't, I mean, some of them, some of them, but again, the ones that do are mostly tabloids that, you know, their tabloids don't really pay much. They're not mainstream news, so I don't really pay attention to them. So yeah. Connie says, and I can assure you, Petal, they're not chosen. Very true. They're not. We live in a, you know, they have created this thing around them where they're like, we're chosen, and you have to believe we're chosen. And if you don't, we will do, you know, I mean, hello, the violence to make sure that they are chosen, and that in order to keep their chosen place, they have to put down any kind of anyone that's coming up and saying, no, you're not. Anything that goes against that is like, well, no, we need to squash that. We need to, you know, this air of we're chosen. You know, it's so funny what they're doing in TikTok. It's like TikTok is becoming and it's so funny. I'm not even on TikTok, but TikTok is becoming, or at least has really kicked the mainstream media, and now they are trying to really get rid of TikTok. I mean, I know TikTok has a lot of problems, you know, especially with security, some of it. But because the young people now who are not believing the nonsense that from the mainstream media, and a lot of them are really becoming their own reporters, and they're going and getting the facts themselves, and they're putting videos out, that is a real threat to mainstream media. I think it was Jake Tapper was doing a thing about it, about, I guess they want to get rid of TikTok. And it's just like, yeah, when people stand up and they really start looking at the truth, it definitely, and especially if you know that you're the one not telling the truth, like especially the US mainstream media, that threatens your position. They feel like they're the ones that's supposed to, you know, they're the ones that's supposed to brainwash us. And all of a sudden you have these upstarts, these little Gen Z upstarts really going in there, finding the facts and outing you. Well, they're going to do something about that. And they are trying. So, yeah. Terry said, didn't Omid say that Kate is infantilized, a woman who is terrified to do anything more than grinning in photo ops? He sure did. He sure did. But even in that book, I mean, you know, I actually really like the book, but even in that book, Omid even, I would say, faulted in saying that she has never put a foot wrong, which is false. I was just like, Omid, no, that's not true. There's been a lot of foot wrong, you know, so I think they're so used to that phrase, oh, she's never put a foot wrong. Yes, he did say that, that's how they, but it's just true. That's how they treat her. That is how they treat her. And it's like, that's why I said she would never grow. She would never change. Why? Because they keep putting this label on her and not holding her to account for anything. And so now she is afraid to do anything because she has bought into that whole label of, well, I never put a foot wrong, so I can't do anything because why? I'm afraid to put a foot wrong. If I make a mistake, they're going to tear me apart, so I can't do anything. So I'm just going to, you know, not say anything and not put a foot wrong. I mean, you put her in a cage and she has allowed herself to be in that cage where she's afraid to go out there and make mistakes. And that's why I'm happy Harry and Meghan are out of there, because they're in a place where they can make as many mistakes as they want. If you don't make mistakes, how on earth are you going to grow? If you're not, you know, messing up with things, that means you're not trying anything. If you don't make mistakes, you know, it's so funny. I think it was a book about Microsoft or something like that. I was reading one. Their whole model is if you're not making mistakes, you're getting fired. Because why? You're not doing anything. They really are looking for you to make mistakes, because it means that you are trying, you are experimenting, you're doing stuff. And so if you're not making mistakes and you're like, oh no, but I can't put it, that means you're not doing anything. And that's why I'm happy the Sussexes can go out there, and they could go out there and change their model and make as many mistakes as they want to make. Why? Because they're free. It's how you grow. because if they don't, they won't grow. So unbelievable. McConaughey says Diana was the English Rose. Kate is not. She cannot do what Diana accomplished. Only Meghan can. The funny thing with Kate is and that's what I think is what selling out yourself, or basically denying yourself or going against who you are so that you could fit into a pattern. I mean, I can't say that she can't do it. I'm just going to disagree on that part a little bit with you, Connie, because I believe people can do anything they want to do, or they can accomplish anything. Even if something is not your nature, you can go and you can accomplish stuff if you want to. But I think Kate has decided to park who she is and put it into this, thing that is just like, people refer to her as this cardboard cutout person, this Stepford wife, as Omid said. She's like Stepford wife like. And so she can, if she wants to break out of that stuff. I mean, that's what they wanted to do with Meghan, and thank God Meghan had a life before, so she didn't have to put up with that nonsense. But I believe, look, if Kate wants to do it, but I think being a wife of William and birthing his kids, and I guess that's all she wants to do. I don't know that she has it in her to try to do something else, but if she wants to, I think she can. I mean, I'd hate to think she can't, you know what I mean? And she can go out and accomplish things, but she has to want to. And I mean, in the sense of English, yeah, Diana was an English girl, but Diana was also a rebel. Diana, she was that English girl, but she was also a rebel. She also knew who she was, and she had to figure it out after a while. But then she just had a heart of like, no, I will not let you put me in this box. And I love that about Diana, that wildness. Karen M says, Pedal, did you see the video where William grabbed her wrist and then almost immediately let her hand go? Wait, is that when they went to something recently, that when she was wearing that dress? The blue dress? I saw a video. I mean, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, when it looked like from a side angle when I first saw it that he took her hand, which I thought he didn't. So I thought, oh, nice. Finally, they hold hands. But then I saw in the front, when they did an angle in the front, he just sort of grabbed her wrist and so I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, that he just... William is not, I don't know what's going on in people's homes and their marriages, but if that's still a thing, he's not a person that is, he's not Harry. Basically, I have to say, he's not Harry in that sort of way. And he's not a tactile person. He's not into holding hands. He's just not. And it seems that that's what she wants, and he's just not into it. And now it's just like, girl, well, that's kind of what you got. Oh, so Karen is saying, yeah. I saw it. It was a little bit like, oh, wow, okay, interesting. Yeah, he was not into holding her hand, and it's sad because, again, I think it seems that that's what, because I've seen a couple of videos like that where she tries to either touch him or hold his hand, and he just sort of brushes it off, and it's just like, oh my goodness. And you could see it in her face. You can see that that minute of, or that second of hurt, and then she goes back to smiling. And it's like, and as a woman, I am not here for Kate, but as a woman, I don't know, my heart just sinks when I see guys do stuff like that. And it doesn't matter how I feel about her, but it's just like, ugh. I just feel like, that cringe feel, like, oh my goodness. I don't like it, whether, no matter how I feel about someone or what they've done or I think they've done. I don't like to see women treated like that. It bothers me. It really bothers me, because I wouldn't want somebody to treat me in that way. And so when I see it, it just like, it almost feels like a dagger to the heart that you treat a woman that way. It's just like, ooh. Yeah. Let's see. Rhonda says he's just not an affectionate person. He looks worse than when tried, because we can tell it's not natural. Yeah. He does what people, because he tries to put on this nice guy image in public. But the description of him when he is not in public, that gruff, angry dude, it's very easy to spot it in public. If you can look past all just the smile, the sort of fake smile thing that he does, they're just little things that he does. For example, yes, that just sort of letting go of her hand, or sort of like brushes her hand off when she tries to touch him, or I can understand when she tried to hit him on the booty and he was just not into it. Yeah, I wouldn't want somebody doing that to me in public. I understand that. But there are just too many instances where she either tries to touch him or tries to be affectionate, and he just is not. Yeah. And it shows. I mean, even though they try to pretend it's not there, it's hard to miss it. So yeah. Karen says William is all smiles for Sophie. Yeah. So I guess Sophie is not challenging. So, and Sophie is his aunt, so I guess it's a different relationship there. Let's see. Let's see. Scrolling up to see your comments. Donna Black says there's an article in Forbes mag about Prince Harry Meg would be good for national security in the USA. They could still do their philanthropic work. I hope they take on a position like that. They would be good for national security? I'm not sure what I understand what. Yeah, I think Meghan and Harry are like, yeah, we don't want to have anything to do with that. Maybe, very interesting. But I mean, when you work for the government and stuff, it's too restricting, man. I would think after being in the royal family, they'd want to. Even though there are times I'm like, yeah, Meghan would be a great senator, or she, if she ever wants to go into politics as well. But so many people have pointed out that the restrictions and I think they probably just want their freedom. They would just want to be free and not have to deal with all the mess with government. Yeah. Let's see. V. Thomas says, Petal Kate knows who she married. Kate is trying to embarrass him in public to be affectionate, but he's not having it. She needs to let it go. Why try pretending to be who he is not to please Kate? And that's the thing with William. He doesn't care. He does not care, it seems. I mean, she wants to keep up appearances, and he does not. He doesn't seem to care. So, yeah. Donna says, national security position has to do with the Navy, the U.S. Navy. Well, I think it also, yeah, definitely Navy, but isn't that also part of the government too? I mean, it's like a government job. So that's what I'm thinking. But, yeah, I mean, interesting is an interesting thought, and then they will definitely get security that they won't have to pay for. So that's definitely an option. So, hey, I mean, I don't know how they would feel for someone who is not American, even though Harry has a great relationship with the U.S. military. I don't know if they would be able to. I mean, I don't know what his immigration status is, if he's if he's a green card or what. But I would assume they would want someone who is a citizen, if he is not, for a role like that, because again, you're dealing with secrets and all of that stuff. So Harry is British. So I don't know. It'd be very interesting. But it's not impossible. But yeah, very, very interesting. Never thought of that. Very good point. Let's see. EBLM, Lynn 35, hello, says, Kate wants the type of man that Meghan has. Yeah, it seems, because I mean, we saw her with Harry before Meghan, and what it seemed like their relationship, although Harry doesn't really go into it and spare so much, that it looked like on the outside, like an engagement, it was closer than what they actually were in real life. But it seems that way, that Kate wants that, remember situations where, there's that picture when William walks off with the umbrella and Harry looks like he's like pointing at him like, you left someone behind, so. And for Kate, I mean, seeing how Harry treats Meghan, it must be like, okay, I'm missing what they have, so I could totally understand that. Because yeah, William that'd be hard. He'd be hard to live with, man. Totally hard to live with. Let's see. Hmm. Let's see. What she Anita says, I'm speaking of the law of Moses. Oh, she's talking to Lola Love. So whatever you're talking about, Lola Love, Anita is speaking. I'm sorry, Anya is speaking about the law of Moses. So I just jumped in on your conversation. Karen, hey, Karen, how are you? Hey, I responded to your email. So check your email and respond back. Karen says, Kate just wants to get the hand-holding photo ops for the reporters, and William is not that. She should leave him alone and accept what she has, or I'm assuming. Okay, I understand what you mean. That could be it too. She definitely want those Harry and Meghan, in the rain or something photos, and she's just not getting it. And it's like, girl, leave it alone. No, totally, I get it. Yeah, very true, Karen. Very true. But again, when I see women, and again, it doesn't matter how I feel about Kate or what I think about her. Whenever I see a woman does that and then they sort of get rebuffed, it's always like, ooh, it hurts the heart. Because again, I always put myself in that position, how I would feel, and it's just like, that is hard. So anyways, let's see what else I got. I think I just probably got one more thing. It seems the demand for Endgame is soaring. People are looking for and desperate for that version that names the racist royals. In Netherlands, I guess they're offering, I think, 175 euros to get their hands on the book with the original one with the racist royals in it. So who knows? I know they pulled it off the shelf, but I don't suppose Scobie is upset about the whole, obviously he said that, whatever, but people are buying it. I don't know where it stands on the, because it's just released. So I don't know. I know the Daily Mail is like, it's flopping, but they said that with all of the Sussex stuff. So you can't really trust the Daily Mail when they say stuff. So anyway, so he seems to be doing good. I think he's in the US. So at least he's not having to deal with the nonsense in the British press. And finally, we've been talking about Palestine. I saw this and I thought, oh, wow, this is amazing. This is a photo or painting or a photo by Gaza by Bansky. And it's just really powerful. Self-explanatory there. And finally, I saw this. And again, I've been so impressed by the people of Palestine. Their strength, their courage has been so, in spite of all the tragedy around them daily. And the spirit of the Palestinian people have been, I'm like, wow, I have been blown away. And what a shame it is, an absolute shame that Israel couldn't live with, or feel like they cannot live with these people and learn from them and be better neighbors, and to be able to learn from their courage. It just is so many incredible things that you see, that in spite of all the things that unspeakable tragedy that has never happened before, and yet they still fight, they still strive to live, they still love, they still stay together as family, feed each other, love it's just been the most amazing thing. And their resilience has been amazing to me. And one of the things, and I don't even know the name of the family, but because they didn't put the name, but Times of Gaza, which is a news outlet, says this family insist on living inside what remains of their home that was destroyed by the occupation's airstrikes in the Burej refugee camp in the central Gaza Strip. And like, I mean, we've talked about, or at least I've shown a couple of pictures of others that have done the same. They have nothing. They barely have food. And most of what they're eating is exactly what's in that oven, the bread. They've figured out how to make bread. Some of them have made makeshift ovens out of cans and dirt. And I mean, it's just the most innovative things that they come up with. And to be able to survive, and there they are in their bummed out house. They're like, this is our land, we're staying here. And the whole family together, the unit together, and it's just like, this is what we have and we're gonna make do. And it's just been the most amazing thing that in spite of all of that they are just, the world is, in a lot of ways, especially leaders, have turned their backs on them, and they are just surviving, and they're keeping their family together, loving their family, and just doing what it takes to stay alive. And I am so impressed. And for me, I am just sad that I didn't know about them before. Like, I had never paid attention to Palestinians before, but it's been such a pleasure just following them. And just, I mean, my whole Twitter account now, I just changed to tweeting the majority of things about going on in Palestine. But it's the first time that I've really focused on something like that. And it's been an amazing thing to watch these people and to see, like, you know what? That's what I want to be like. That's the kind of character of these people I want to have. And so it's been amazing. And, families like this have been like, wow, we are strong people. We are such strong people. And yeah, it's been amazing. So anyway, that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much to our awesome moderators, Lydia, Trish, Nelly, Karen, Cookies and Cream, Black Queen. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you so very much for taking care of the chat as you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to all of you who support the channel on a monthly basis. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you so very much. And to those of you, wait a minute, someone gave donated, and I oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. Red Label Confessions. Thank you so much for your donation. Thank you. Says everyone should have clocked Kate after she was telling Meghan to change the children's dresses on Meghan's wedding. Oh my goodness. That's just a mess. I'm like, I could never get over that one. But thank you so much, Red Label Confessions Reactions, for your donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. But anyway, thank you all so much, and who donated here in the chat and also donate via PayPal and Cash App. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys next time. Yep. I will see you all next time. Have a fantastic day. I love you. Bye. See you next time.